Welcome to the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast, where I've made it my mission to help beauty professionals, creative, and independent entrepreneurs like you find the tools, inspiration, and motivation to unlock the abundant life you know you are meant to be living. Each week, you can expect epic guests and solo episodes sharing every tool, trick, and skill set I've learned on my own 20-year journey to grow and scale your life and business. I'm your host, Jessica Bergio, former salon owner turned beauty business mentor and crazy multi-passionate entrepreneur, here to share incredible stories and insight about how others got started and the unconventional path they took to get there. My goal is to inspire you to reach your business and life goals with confidence, to achieve your dream life through creating non-negotiables and boundaries without sacrificing your personal well-being and relationships. I know firsthand how real burnout can be, so if you're ready to stop the overwhelm and get clear and focused, you're in the right place, babe. Let's jump right in. Hello, and welcome back to the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast. I am your host, Jessica Bergio, and I'm so excited. I have one of my favorite women of all time with us today. Joanna Vargas is here. What up, what up?
What up, everybody? Hey, Jessica, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for listening. We're going to have some fun. Yeah, put your seatbelts on. Let's do this.
Let's do this. So listen, when you get to vibe out with people like Joanna, you can just feel the energy. Like if you're in your car or if you put your headphones on, you're going for a walk right now, just know that we are walking with you because we are early morning girls. We are get shit done chicks. We are, we roll in our masculine a little bit too much and we're working on that. And we just had a conversation about, owning our power and like who the fuck we are. So if you're ready for an epic drop right now, it's coming. It's coming. We don't know what the hell we're going to talk about, but that's how I like to roll here. And I always love to give you guys different perspective. I'm not just about bringing you people from the industry. Joanna is, I couldn't even label her as a thing, right? She's done so much in her career, in her life, in her business. And I want you to just kind of deep dive in, and we're going to do a little bit of like hot seat, just so people can get to know who you are. So let's start with, where are you from, Joanna?
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, still here.
Yeah, yes, West Coast. So where do you still live in LA now?
Yep.
And so we met at an event called Event Love, where we were learning how to host live events. And so that's where her and I's first meeting happened. And I've watched you evolve and grow. Especially during the pandemic, we stayed close during that time. We both had brick and mortars where we were like, what the actual fuck's going to happen? And I watched you pivot hardcore, and you took something that had been your baby and had done really well for you and took it online. And like me, you started a podcast too, actually not one, but two, because she's an overachiever.
Damn.
What currently, I want to work backwards. So currently, where are you at with life right now in business? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Jessica, this past year has been difficult for me because, like you said, I'm an overachiever. So I had a fitness studio, 8 years, and I was about to sell it. And I had a dance studio before then, and I sold that business. So I'm pretty much like that entrepreneur that gets bored. Anybody else out there going, yeah, I get bored. And then you feel kind of like guilty because you want to sell your baby, but it's like, I'm on to the next. So I was about to sell that, Jessica. And then literally a week later, closed because of the pandemic. And that person no longer wanted to buy the business.
Of course.
And I'm like, OMG, what am I going to do? So I go online fitness classes. Now I'm excited that we're closed because I wanted to close the business anyway. I wanted to sell it. I was exhausted. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Now here's the thing, Jessica. I went from a dance studio of like 5,000 square feet. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to open a fitness studio, smaller, 2,000 square feet. I'm going to make it real simple. Let me tell you, just because it's more simple, it's still exhausting. Right? A brick and mortar is like, oh, it's a house. You got to keep it up. It's so different. So I left that, went online, and I'm still online now. And let's get real. I don't really even know where I'm going right now. That's where I am. And as I'm looking at my bio, I'm like, who is this girl? Because I lost my way. I lost my way. Anybody else out there? Yep. But I'm starting to see the light a little bit, Jessica. And I describe it like this. I was in winter. There was a lot of snow. And right now the snow is starting to thaw. It's not thawed yet, but I could see the sun. I could see the blue sky. There's still the dark, dirty snow. It's not spring yet, but that's where my life is right now. So that's the best thing, girl, I could describe it as.
Like I said, she's going to keep it really real for you. And I feel like so many people can resonate so hardcore with you right now. Like, we don't have enough people around us that keep it really fucking real. And keeping it real, but keeping it positive at the same time.
Yes.
It's okay to be in the season of fucking dirty snow, but
yes.
Like, where can we find the light? And that's one of the things I absolutely am so drawn to you and love about you, is because you bring up how can we ask better questions? That is something that Joanna's kind of famous for now. Like, what is one thing that we can shift perspective on so that we can see it a little bit differently, so it's easier for us to get through, deal with, work on, whatever it might be, that 1% better kind of vibe. So you started a podcast too, and I know that that's why this is going to be fire. You got 2 podcast interviews. You just want to like talk. Talk to us about the first one. So the Get Up Girl podcast was your first one, your baby, right? And was doing a podcast something that had been on your heart for a while?
Oh yeah. And I wanted to do it for 3 to 4 years. And so thank God the pandemic happened, right? Raising our hands, how many people? It was such a gift that this happened, because if not, I still would have been stuck in that brick and mortar. If she didn't buy it, I mean, there could have been a gazillion things, but I kept staying. I have that personality where I'm creating for others. But Jessica, if you would have told me that before, I'd say, oh no, I'm creating for myself. I got this. Until I look at it and I'm like, Joanna, what are you doing? And I love how you said that. Let's keep it real. Like, yeah, we're having a human experience. A lot of it kind of sucks. And then it's also really freaking great. It's like amazing, right? This is an amazing life. And there's 24,000 times in a day where I'm like up, then I'm down, and then I'm up and a little higher, then I'm lower, then I'm a little lower, then I'm higher, right? It's like, come on, everybody. Yes. And laugh about it. Because girls, but this like trying to portray and perform all the time. The performance. I'm exhausted.
That's the exhausting part.
We don't even know say it again, Joanna. We don't even know we're performing. We don't know it. And again, until I can step back and go, oh, girl, you were performing here. That boyfriend, you were performing there. That girlfriend, you were performing. It's like, wow. And I'm choosing for others so that the audience, the other person, is happy. And I'm like, can I choose for me? So now, Jessica, on my phone, I have an alarm go off every day that says, who are you choosing for? Who are you choosing for? Oh, all day. Because I have to remind myself. And I'm like, girl, I'm in my 40s now and I'm learning how to choose for me. It's like big girl panties. Isn't that interesting? And then I'm like, where am I going to be in my 50s, Jessica? Where am I going to be in my 60s? I'm so excited. What am I going to learn in my 70s? Wow, I'm going to be a real badass, right? So I'm excited because it's like I just keep learning and discovering and learning and discovering. And then a weed will pop up. Let's get rid of that weed. Another one pops up. Oh, that's interesting. Never saw that before. Get rid of that weed, right? But I think we get rid of the weeds, Jessica, and they're supposed to be gone forever. I call BS. Come on, people.
Same. My God, like I guarantee right now, as women, and as you know, our conditioned belief is to make everybody else happy, make people feel comfortable. And as children, you know, be quiet, don't be too loud, don't show up your friends. If you're a great athlete, don't make other people feel bad, don't throw it in their face, don't be too competitive. It's like men get the opposite. Women get the, you know, sit down, be quiet, you know, and if you're pretty, don't be too pretty, and whatever. If you're sexy, don't be too sexy. But on the other hand, it's like we were talking before we hit record, like, how can you do a nice humble brag on yourself? How can you be proud of yourself verbally and kind of showcase what you offer and bring to the world without coming off as a woman too much, too loud, too aggressive, too all the things? And you just gave me like a fucking aha moment, because I was a kid who was a performer. I was an only child, so the only way I got attention was to perform at the house, right? My mom said I used to be like, you put a quarter in me, you couldn't stop me, right? She's like, dance around until people paid attention. And then as I got older with sports and with dance, and it was like, what makes everyone happy? And that's why people, you know, become like class clowns. Oh, that made you laugh? Okay, I'm going to get good attention that way. Or the bad kids, like my poor son. I don't call him a bad kid, but that's how he's learned to get attention in class, being the silly one, being the loud one.
Yes. You know what, Jessica, I have this great question. And I ask myself, am I willing to outcreate so-and-so. So let's say, for example, I'm going to just say Jennifer Lopez, right? Because I love her. So I'm going to say, am I willing to outcreate J-Lo? Now, think of it this way, everybody that's listening. It's not that the question is not, are you willing to outcreate her? The question is, are you willing to be more of you than J-Lo is willing to be of herself? I'm going to say that one more time. Are you willing to be more of you than J-Lo or anybody, fill in the blank, is willing to be of themselves? Are you willing to outcreate Oprah? And it like even makes me nervous because I could feel it in my body. I'm like, are you willing to be more of yourself than Oprah is willing to be of herself? It doesn't mean, are you willing to outcreate what Oprah's done?
Right.
Are you willing to be more of yourself? And I think every day, that's why I'm like, I learn and discover something new. I'm willing to be more of me. And I think we picked this thing up, Jessica, that as soon as you graduate from college or etc. and get all the things, the 5 things, the house, the kids, the degree, the car, the whatever, and the grandkids, and then it's done. And that equals happiness. I call BS. It's every day is like a new little degree. Mm-hmm. A new little thing that you're getting every single day, and we're changing all the time. So I wonder, because my friends of my age are going, is this it? I bought all this bullshit. I call lies. And then we go through this like, quarter life crisis, so to speak, or midlife crisis of going, jump ship, I'm out of here, jump ship, because we bought the lies. We bought this bullshit. And we're going, what is that about? So that's where I am.
I can't even, we're in the same, I just turned 40 in February and my son's almost 10 years old. And I literally thought, I cannot be having my midlife crisis this soon, or my, quarter life crisis, whatever you just nicely called it. But I am. I just sold my salon too. I don't know if you caught that on social media, but like, I was in the same boat as you. I didn't have it for 8 years, but I've been in the game 20 years. So it was like one of those things where I was like, cool, I created this beautiful space. I'm like, now what?
This is it?
This is it? Like,
I'm not happy?
Yeah. I like didn't want to leave it. I sold it and I was like, can I still work here? And she was like,
yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I'm still there enjoying the fruits of my labor. It's like I got to pick my boss, pick my coworkers, design my own space. And like now I'm in this little bubble, but it's still of uncertainty. You think doing something is going to give you that happiness or give you that answer to the next thing. And sometimes you just have to be okay not knowing what that's going to look like. And that's what we were kind of talking about, of just like being at peace of like, how can you just find happiness in your day to day? And that's what Joanna and I love to jam out about. We're always in the DMs with each other. Like, I see you, girl, in the morning. We both love to get up at the crack of dawn and get our time in, because that's just when we operate. Like, if you're a morning person, then you understand. If you're an evening person, just reverse engineer it to your time. But like you, like me, our morning walks bring us so much clarity and like movement for you. Obviously, if you're a dancer, like that's how you connect to yourself. So that's same with exercise for me. And we've talked a lot about like what routines look like. So how has having like a routine supported you in growing your business, pivoting like you have, and doing all the things that you've accomplished?
Routines have saved my life. Here's the thing. I used to be the girl that thought routines were nerdy. Like, oh, the nerds have routines. Those are lame. The cool people fly by the seat of their pants, so to speak. I really had this thought. I also had this thought that people that saved money were like nerdy. And I'm like, I call BS on all these lies that I bought. So with the routines, I am so routine now, but I'm also fly by the seat of my pants. I'm both, right? My word for this year on my little bracelet is and, because Jessica, I'm both of it. I'm this and I'm that. I'm this and I'm that, right? I'm a routine girl and I'm not a routine girl. So with the routines, it has saved my life literally, because I used to be the girl that woke up at 10 a.m. And I want to be real. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I was not a morning person before because I wasn't happy. I didn't want to literally open my eyes because I didn't want to start the day. So I wonder when people go, oh, I'm not a morning person, I hate it. I'm like, I wonder, is that just another way that you don't want to say that you're unhappy? And I wonder, because for myself, when I don't want to wake up, Jessica, I know I'm not the Joanna. And I'm like, oh, something's off. And then I get curious. Mm-hmm. So the routines help me that way. Also, planning and color coding things. I mean, that's how detailed I am now. Each thing has a color. So I have 4 colors. The pink highlighter means this, the green means this, and it's changed my life. And it's this whole plan that I have. And I live and die by my Google Calendar, and then I physically write it down so that it goes through my hand as well.
Yeah. And that's so funny. Like, I love that because I love spontaneity. I love like last minute, like being able to just say yes to things and being able to like roll with stuff because I feel like I'm a micromanager and I'm kind of uptight because for me, shit doesn't get done right if it's not planned in there. If I don't have the right amount of time to do it, like these podcast episodes wouldn't get done. I would brush it off. I'd find something else to do. Like if we didn't structure it and put it in with our, like you said, our color coded, this and that, we would get lost in the sauce because when you're kind of a creative, you do like to just, what feels good? What do I feel like doing? What do I want to do? And if you don't put yourself in some sort of structure and get organized with your time management, like is the key to all things. It's the key to happiness. It's the key to, finding more joy. It's the key to getting shit done. It's the key to like everything. And so for me, that was one of the things that I struggled with was time management. I wasn't lazy. I was a procrastinator.
Yes.
So like I would get so much other shit done.
Yep.
But I wouldn't do the actual thing I said I wanted to get done, which was like start the podcast or start writing my emails that I needed to, or figure out the program I was going to design, or actually talk about what I was doing. But my house would be spotless. My car would be clean. The laundry was done. Groceries were, you know what I mean? So I find when people struggle with routines or time management, it's because they're too scared to commit to whatever it is they say they want to do. So they stay in the busy, right? I'm so busy, my kids, my husband, my this, my that. Well, why can some people do it and other people can't? Now people will say, oh, Beyonce, J-Lo, they've got all the money, they've got 96 nannies, all the things. Well, what about the average woman who's killing it and getting it done? She can still find ways. And for me as a mom too, like I am actually doing it where I'm present with my son when I'm with him. If I've got to work, I tell him what's going on and I keep him in the loop. I take him with me sometimes when we got to do stuff. He knows when the little door's shut that something's going on. And for me, it's like, it's showing him that you can do it all, the and life. I don't have to choose one or the other.
Jessica, do you think that by not doing the things that you said you were going to do, like the procrastinating of the podcast and things like that, is a sense of control?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, are you kidding me?
Right here. Yep. So I can control everything.
Yeah.
And my 2021, Jessica, for me is I am control. I'm not in control. Because before, the past Joanna was trying to be in control. And that's why I would procrastinate on purpose. I wouldn't save money on purpose. It was my way of controlling and saying that I was right and I'm a starving artist because I have to be right. And even though I made a lot of money, where is it? And it's coming to the receiving it and going, Joanna, you chose that. What are you going to choose now? Because I wanted to judge the fuck out of me for spending the money. Yeah. I had a lot of fun and I spent it all. And where is it? Pandemic hit. Where's the money? But it was a sense of control, so I can control the money and spend it, because if I save the money, then I wouldn't know what to do with it, and then I'm out of control. And I'm like, Joanna, you are control. You're not in control. And for me, if that resonates and like lights up your body, that lights me up. It rings for me because I'm like, I am control. And another one, Jessica, I say, I am power. I'm not in power. I'm not powerful. I am power. And that's different. Then I can have money. But when I'm like, I'm powerful, the money just leaves. I just like, because it's such bullshit. At least for me, it doesn't work for me that way.
And that's the thing. You have to find what resonates and works for you. It's like when you're learning your times tables or when you're learning how to like memorize stuff at school, you have to find those little ways that it makes sense to you.
Yes.
How this person isn't how you learn. And when you're a creative and you're a expressive type of person, I think a lot of people in my industry resonate exactly with what you just said, because that was me growing up. Like I made $500, $600, $700, $800 one weekend doing a wedding night. I'm straight to Nordstrom spending it all. I'm straight to Cabo on vacation. Like if it was in the bank, I was like burning a hole in my pocket. Money's meant to be spent. Like I think because I didn't grow up with very much. So I was like, it's there, use it.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that I never really thought about it as being a form of control, but definitely like until I shifted my perspective where my mom, kind of helped me play the watch your bank account grow game. She was like, it's so fun when you wake up in the morning and there's more in there. She's like,
that's where I am now. Yes, girl, it's fun.
so
It only took me 40 years, but it's fun.
Yeah, with some
like,
bad
that's
because I did exactly what you said a few minutes ago about my mom said to if you checked all these boxes off, then you would be happy. And she made it real clear that those were the reasons why she wasn't happy. Like my mom had me 18 years old. She doesn't know who my dad is. I don't think she listens to the podcast. So, I share everything on here. And we grew up with very little. And then my mom, found her stride with selling mobile homes. She like built her business. I mean, I sat on the floor of the office. We stamped flyers. Like she grinded it out. And now she has a very successful business. But at what cost? You know what I mean? Like she wasn't around very much, but she did what she had to do. And so I know I grew up hearing stories and belief systems about money, about work, about how hard things should be, about that if you didn't have a husband, if you didn't then you weren't, worthy of XYZ. So I got married at 25. I bought the house I couldn't afford at 25. And I suffered for 4 years in that till I was like, this is not for me. Either this is not for me now or this isn't for me ever. Yeah, I need to get out while I'm still young and figure this out. So at 27, like I left. And so from there, it's been a backwards journey of getting out of that shithole and then realize, what do I want? So like what you said about performing, like, what if I stop worrying about what my mom said, what my mom thinks, and how she's telling me everyone else will judge me? I already chose a career that wasn't, the one I was supposed to pick.
Yes.
So that alone, it was like, and I know so many people in my industry can vibe with that becoming a hairdresser wasn't their family's first pick for them. Becoming a dancer wasn't their first pick. What are you going to do for a real job? Yeah. How was that when you got into the industry? What did that look like?
Dude, my mom, like, please get a regular job. I mean, because I went to college. I mimicked what everybody else did, Jessica. Go to college. I went to UC Santa Barbara. Hated it. 2 quarters. I was like, what am I doing here? I did everything in high school to get there. And I'm dyslexic. I'm like, I have everything. My SAT, Jessica, I got a 720. If anybody's taking the SAT, you know that's less than half. But I'm so sharp, like almost like autistic. That's how creative I am. So my whole life I was a dancer and performer and this and that, but I tried so hard. That's what a good performer I was, that I got into a UC with a 720 SAT. Now I'm only now, Jessica, starting to say that I got 720 on my SAT because I was shameful. I was just so full of shame, but I still got in. Anyway, left, hated it. Then I go, I'm going to start a dance studio. My parents thought I was batshit crazy. You're nuts. So I started the business with the FU energy of I'm going to do it just to prove to you. And as soon as I built that business to 700 students, I was like, what's next? I was bored. What's next? So I sold that business and I left. And I just kept creating more and more. But people around me finally go, oh, she's actually good at that. And I was just a hustler. Like I had the Jay-Z hustle in me. And I'm like, I'm the quintessential, what is it, Shark Tank? They're all dyslexic. All of them, they're like, and my team knows, if you're going to send me an email, you got to send it like this. Like, don't send me a long thing because I ain't going to read it. But I also had a sense of control where I think, Jessica, I created the starving artist so that I could be right. Like, see, I'm right. I'm a starving artist. I have to be like what everybody else is. And that was my sense of control. Because if I really would have proved them wrong, it's a whole dance. And I see it now that, oh my gosh, I actually started to believe it. And I was controlling it that way. And I spent all my money, the millions that I earned. It's freaking crazy what I did. So I totally get it that my mom thought I was nuts. Now you're going to do fitness. Now you're going to do what? Create a music festival? Like, what are you doing? Just get a regular job. Still to this day, like, what are you doing? And this was also in the 90s, Jessica, right? Where entrepreneurship was not cool like the way it is now. It wasn't hashtag girl boss and, oh, yes. No, we were the pioneers, the first, like, what are you doing? You don't do that. Everybody does the traditional route, and especially girls. Like, what are you doing?
No
and like
risks.
Right. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. And I'm never been married. I don't have kids. I mean, I'm so far different than everybody in my family. They're like, that's happiness. Happiness is kids. And I'm like, I'm pretty happy and I don't have kids. Like, it's just my choice. So it's very, very different. But yeah, it was a lot of shame. I feel like I don't fit in, because I'm childless. Like, it's a big dance. It was a big choice to make, and very interesting going through that journey.
I bet. And I feel like, people that decide to stop drinking, you make other people uncomfortable by your decisions versus a decision that should be yours and yours alone to make, to not have children, to not drink, to not whatever the fuck you don't want to do or to do. It's like we're constantly in the state of feeling like we're getting judged. And when you feel that pressure, you sometimes make decisions that you are not in your best interest, and like how hard it is to like embody, like, what do you really want? What are some ways that you're able to now, because you're aware of it, tap into, like, when you stop? I know it's like the choose you timer on your phone. I love that. But what are some ways that you can like check in with yourself to make sure that you are doing the things that make you happy versus what you think people are expecting of you?
This is the one tool that I use all the time. And for 2021, this is like my theme. It's point of view. It's just a point of view. So whenever I receive judgment from somebody, or like you're gonna do that, Joanna, or whatever it may be, I tell myself it's just their point of view. It's just their point of view. And also, it's just my point of view of what I think about them too. Because then I start to judge them. It's just my point of view. It's just their point of view. It's just the point of view. Then the next thing I do, that's tip number one. And I say that about a gazillion times all day long. Okay. The second thing I do is, judgment is not going to kill me, Joanna. It's not going to kill me. It's just their point of view. And judgment is just when somebody else would not choose what I'm choosing. That's it.
I love that.
So if I choose not to have children, they're judging me because they would they would not choose to not have children. That's the only difference. If they have a 9 to 5, they would not choose to not have a 9 to 5. That's all it is. So I remind myself, Joanna, they would just not choose what you're choosing. That's it.
That's it.
They would just not choose what you're choosing. Are you willing to receive their judgment? Now, here's the last thing, Jessica. And I know that when I can fully receive judgment, and I'm not a doormat, I'm not saying that you just lie down and take it, but when I can receive it and not have to fight and defend and all this bullshit, like just go, oh, okay, it's your point of view, whatever, like truly just roll it off, I know that I energetically get bigger.
That's huge.
Now, I want everybody to think about the people out there in this planet that receive judgment, and they get bigger, they get bigger, they make more money, they make more money, they make more money. And all of us, quote unquote, normal people that are like trying to fight judgment all day long, we're actually getting smaller.
Woo!
Let's think, the Kardashians, how much judgment do they receive? And they truly receive it. You could see Kim Kardashian, she'll be on an interview and she's like, okay, like she has like no point of view. She's like, whatever. Somebody can tell her something and yeah, she gets hurt. I get it. But not to the extent that we would be like, oh my God, I got one bad post on Instagram and it's the end of the world. How many did she get a day?
Yeah.
Right? Donald Trump. Let's go to Oprah. I mean, I could go on and on about people that all the judgment that they get. Oh, how could she do that? Oh, J-Lo, she's already on her third marriage, etc., etc. And watch, J-Lo, when she broke up with A-Rod, she's getting bigger and bigger. Watch, she's going to get bigger. And it's because she can receive it. It's almost like having a bulletproof vest and you just receive the bullets. And all of us, we're trying to like dodge them. And it contracts us energetically. So that's how I do it. And I'm like, it's just their point of view. Judgment's not going to kill me. They would not choose this, Joanna. And if you truly receive it, you're going to get energetically bigger, girl. Let's go. And that's the 3-step that I do.
That's everything. I hope you guys can take away ways to use that even on a smaller scale, even if judgment isn't getting thrown at you on a bigger scale, but like day to day, we get comments all the time. I get comments at the salon from some of my clients regarding selling the salon or changing things, or even when I cut my hair, I'm like, I didn't ask your opinion. I don't need to comment on it, but yes, obviously I cut my hair, just from the smallest to the biggest things, like people you just have to, the biggest lesson I learned from a dear friend of mine who was a mentor, he said, the sooner that you accept people for exactly who they are, the easier and more stress-free your life will be. And it's created more space in my life for better friendships because I don't have expectations of how I think they should behave. Do I get my feelings hurt still sometimes? Sure. But like overall, I can stay friends with people even when I'm not choosing the same thing as them, even when I'm not picking the same thing. It's why my mom and I have such a beautiful relationship now, because I realize I have one mom and I either accept her exactly the way she is in full judgment and full still trying to parent me and parent my child while I'm fucking 40 years old, I just accept it. And when there's a boundary that needs to be made, I can say it with love. And I can say, I gotta go, before it was a full blown, but why are you talking to me like that? And same in relationships, we trigger and the ones that are closest to us. And I know you and I have talked about relationships and just like the way we've shown up in them prior and, our part and why they haven't worked out. And, I think when you can really acknowledge how you've been showing up in work, in business, in life, that's when the real awareness and change can happen. People see, they're like, well, you're doing all these things. I'm sure you get this too. Like, you're doing all these things. How do you do it? And it's like being okay with something not working out, being okay with trying and failing, whatever failure means, you're just learning, and being okay with, getting out in there and dating again, like you have too. And same with me, it's not easy, but most things that are worth it in life are not technically easy, right? We've got to put some work in. You got to put some sweat in. I was crying earlier today. I had to go fix my face. It's like that. Like you were saying, the journey. I had a great call this morning and something else happened. And I was like, holy motherfucking shit. But I'm resilient now because I've been flexing this muscle that like I had this on the calendar. It was in marker and I'm like, I know when I talk to her, I'm going to feel better. Like, fix your face, get on there, girl. Right?
I'm all good. Let's go. All right. I'm okay. Let's go. Yeah. But also having the grace and knowing when it sucks and not trying to pretend, the performing again. So I think it's the dance, Jessica, at least for myself, knowing like, oh, I got this. I can, or do I really need to take some time and retreat and like take a bath? So that's my dance. Because before I used to always perform, suck it up, suck it up, suck it up, suck it up. And finally I'm like, dude, I'm tired of sucking it up. I'm ready to just cry and have a, like really just feel into more of it. And that is power to me. Can I cry and then like, yeah, this sucks. Okay, let's get back in. Where before I would cry and pretend that nothing was there. I'm so powerful. Like, is that really? So at least for myself in my 20s, looking there, gosh, what bullshit. But, and it was a learning. It was for me. It was required for me, to go through that.
I agree. I think, sometimes I get into the martyr stage, like, why me? Why was I raised by a tough Italian mom? You too have been, our background, my mom, she said to me so many times, I was your mom and your dad. I go, and you wonder why I don't know how to be more feminine or role. Like my mother was my mom and my dad. Can you see why I'm fucking confused half the time? I don't know if I'm a guy or a girl. Like, I mean, I do, you know what I'm saying? But like, the way that we show up, it's like, they're so, I think, one of the good things about being a parent for me is I'm learning to reparent myself as I parent him.
Ooh.
That's the biggest blessing.
Wow.
And we tried one time. I probably wouldn't have a kid if it wasn't I would be like you very much. I resonate with you and Oprah and like just that I would have been happy. And in the moments when it's hard right now, like I think, but he has taught me patience and just like to slow down in life. And I think I would have never been able to connect to that part of myself. Maybe at some point, but it's softened me up a little bit. But there are days when I dream that, what would it have been like to not have children? What would my life be like? So I envy you just as much as, you might have a moment where you're like, what would that be like? So yeah, there are women like me that do have kids that also think that. And it's okay to say that if you have kids, you're allowed to say, what would my life have been like if I didn't have children?
Wow, Jessica, that was such a fresh breath of fresh air, because I wonder if my friends that do have kids don't say that around me, because then whatever they're going to think that I think. And I'm like, I get it. My mom would even tell me that. She goes, oh my God, I just wish, that I would have been better if I didn't have kids, things like that. And I grew up with that. Like, oh, okay, that's just what mom, yeah, she's human. It just was part of it. Like I even knew interesting. And I'm going to throw this out there because I have those moments of like, I would be so different if I had different parents. But you know what? I don't think so. I would not be half as badass if I didn't have my parents, because I would have been coddled. Same. Probably, yep. Or maybe, right? So then I have those moments of thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom, for being tough on me, because I wouldn't have half the badassness if you were easy on me or I was your princess, because I was nobody's princess. Yeah. Right. And I forgot what I was going to say at the beginning. Anyway, maybe it wasn't important.
Okay, so tell us about your podcast. And I know that, so I wrote here, I know you're here to inspire your sisters to wake up and live fully. Explain to me, like, the podcast is called the Get Up Girl Podcast. Explain to me where that like came from. Like, what is it about that? Where there, because you've done a lot. So, you know, redefining what it means to get back up. Because I was on your show and I was on one of the first episodes that you had. And that was the question you asked me. What does it mean for you? Or what was it like to get back up from a tough situation? And we talked about a couple of things. So, you know, where did that come from? And why was that so heavy on your heart that you wanted to really dive into what other women have like redefined for themselves?
My superpower is getting back up. And I know in my heart, I'm very aware that if my situations were in other people, they probably either would have committed suicide or drugs or not have gotten back up. I know that for sure. So as a superpower, and I'm like, thank you so much that I was gifted this. And I keep getting back up, just like that little clown that you punch and it just keeps popping back up. That is myself. And I've lost so much money and multiple times. And I keep getting back up. First, I was 19 years old and I lost $5,000 on my first big event. I threw this dance show. $5,000 at 19 years old. Most people would have said, I'm out. This doesn't work. I'm going to get a job. But I got back up, did it again. Next one, maybe lost $100,000. I put a music festival together and I lost $250,000. Got back up. But I'm not saying it was not easy. It was freaking hard. I was in a depression for about a year. So things of that nature, love of my life, broke up with me, just so many things. And everybody's like, you got to write a book, Joanna. I mean, I'm just giving you the tidbit. And so the Get Up Girl was born. And I'm like, what do I actually do? And the tips, like I gave you that tip of like, okay, that's just a point of view. Things like that. Like, how do I actually get up? Because I was frustrated, Jessica, when I would go to events or listen to people speak and they didn't give the how. They give a lot of philosophy. And I'm like, okay, but how did you actually do it? What did you actually do? That's what the podcast is about. I tell people, this happened to me yesterday. I was crying my eyes out. I was literally on the floor. This is what I did. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And I'm here talking to you now. And I'm not out of it yet, but I'm a little bit closer. And that's what I did. And that's what the podcast is about. And doing the uncliche things. In my point of view, there's so many cliches out there. Think positive, do this. And you just want to throat punch them because you're like, what do I really do when I really want to like slit my wrists and I'm on the floor? What do you actually do? That's what, and to show people like, yeah, let's get real. Not the, okay, this is all great, because this is what I'm learning, Jessica. I've been coached by a lot of people that have never really fallen, that have never really had it tough. You know what I'm saying? Like tough.
Yeah.
And I know that's why you and I get along, because we're like, yeah, we've seen it. I get it. But like, everything's wonderful. And now this is how I made my millions and I'm going to teach you. And I'm like, yeah, but did you ever really fall? So do you know how to get back up? Because I'm falling. So can you coach me? So I'm here to coach the ones that fall and the dreamers that keep falling. And those are the ones that I see are the creatives. We're the dreamers. We get up, we fall. We get up, we fall. We're the more logical types. Plan. They get up and then they stay there. But for the other types of people out there that get up, fall, get up, fall, get up, fall, get up, fall. That's who it's for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that's kind of an untapped. There is so much fluff around think positive, say the affirmations, do the things. And yeah, I mean, I've been to countless events where you're waiting for them to drop the one knowledge bomb at the bottom of their story where they're going to tell you how they actually did it. You're like, I don't need any more fluff stories. I need tangible takeaways. Like, even if it's a one hit wonder. And that's why Oprah calls them those like aha moments, because the part where you're like listening for 30 minutes and you're like, boom, now it actually makes sense. or like you can actually resonate with someone's story as to like, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with this bullshit. You know, that's also why the Beauty Inspires Beauty was born too, because I was like, I need to share stories of the come up. You know, I've been in the industry in San Diego for 20 plus years. Like I've seen people start at ground zero like myself and grow into these thriving, amazing stylists. How did you do it? How did you get from A to B? What happened in between?
Yeah.
How did you become a successful salon owner? And why is the girl that started with you 20 years ago, you know, still sweeping hair, making 25 grand? What is the difference between you two? What have you done that she didn't do? You know, and that's what I've kind of had to reverse figure out in my teaching and coaching was like, what's the missing components and the takeaways and the things I actually help them implement. And I talk about that a lot with coaching too. I'm like, they can sell you the fluff. They can give you the little cute budget sheets and tell you where to put your fucking numbers. And I'm like, but have you lost it all? Have you lost clientele and had to rebuild? Have you figured out how to like make more and work less? You know, pick a coach that's gone through some shit. You know, if it all looks silver and fluffy, like you got to question some of that, you know, definitely. I love that.
I think about like Tiger Woods. Would you rather want Tiger Woods to teach you how to play golf or his dad?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who taught him? Or who, you know what I mean? Just because he wasn't the golfer, you're like, who do you really want? The one that was like, I've been there. I think about this with like therapists, because my mom put me through therapy when I was 18. And again, I was just the creative type, but she didn't know what to do with a creative type. Like, you're creative, I don't know what to do with you. And so you're so emotional. So I'm going to give you to this therapist and give you, you know, medicine. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. I said that so many times when I was 18. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just different. I'm just creative. I talk really fast. I just don't think like all of you. Right. So I think when I see therapists, I'm like, did they ever feel depressed, or did they just go to college and learn this? You know, I always felt like that. I always felt like I was sitting in this chair. I wanted to be with somebody that was like, yep, I came from the streets. This is how I got up. This is how I did it. Let's go. That's a therapist to me. Not, oh, I went to some college and I just got a degree and I learned psychotherapy. What? You've never felt depression. You don't know what I'm feeling. So that, and I think that's why I resonate with kids that are depressed or things like that, or other creatives. I'm like, I get it. I've seen it all. I felt it all. Nothing scares me. I'm here to hold space for you. Nothing can scare me. I've done it all. Let's go.
That. And that's the thing about like finding your tribe and finding people that you can resonate and vibe with in that non-judgment zone. Because like being able that I've worked in bigger salons, I found people that are like us that I can connect with and have thoughtful conversations. They get us, you know, and that's why when I first walked into the salon I started at, that hit me hard. I was like, I did choose the right career. This is the right place for me. They're all fucking weird and crazy too. And I am with my people. I was at 19 years old. I walked into that salon and I thought, she was wrong. My mom was wrong. This is where I belong, at least for now. And it allowed me to express myself, dress how I wanted, wear my hair out. And one day you could show up preppy, one day you could show up goth. Like, you literally can redefine yourself every single day in this industry. What you want to serve, how you want to look, how you want, any of it. Same with dance, same with any of that kind of expressive like nature. And trust, if we could choose and not be as emotional or as deeply feeling, I'm sure we would definitely check that box to not be so emotional. I would. But it is who we are, and it allows us to hold space for other people. And that's why I think women like us need to do more of this coaching. And I know it's kind of become this crazy saturated market of like, everybody's a fucking coach now. But I know therapists who have tapped more into the coaching because you can hold better space when you're a coach versus the rules they put on the therapy, you know?
Yep.
So, you also do something really cool you started not that long ago, which are the 30-day challenges. So tell us about how those have gone and what was the reason behind why you started those?
It goes back to the routines you were talking about. Yeah. And I know for myself, I created this for me. Last year during the pandemic, I was like, what do I want to do for my birthday? And I love to ask questions. So I was asking this question for about 6 months. What do I want to, and I was very curious. What do I want to do for my birthday? What do I want to do for my birthday? And I just got a download from the universe. Do a 30-day challenge and you're going to go live every day. All right. So I meditated. I did a meditation challenge. And here's the thing, Jessica, I did it for me. I created for me, where before I would have created for other people. So I'm like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to meditate every morning and y'all can come if you want to. It was like that. Not like, oh, do people show up? And I'm like praying that they show up. I'm doing this for me. People started showing up. And I go, you know what? I'm going to keep going. So I did December. I'm going to keep going. So I did January. Now I'm going live for the full year. And I discovered something really cool. By doing something for 30 days and changing it has completely changed my life and scares me. So I've done a bed making challenge. I've done a book challenge, a journal challenge, a question asking challenge. Like whatever comes up in my life, I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And this is going to create for me. And everybody's invited to join with me. And I think that's the difference of where I'm taking my business now, because before, Jessica, it was always like for my clients, for them, for them, for them. And I was depleted with nothing left. That's why I was exhausted. That's why I sold my dance studio. That's why I closed the fitness studio, because it was always for everybody else. And I'm like, now this is for me. What's fun? And I'm using this as a practice, for like other things. So I would love for all of you to join me. Go to my Instagram, Joanna Vargas Official, and see which the next one is and just join in. But it takes about 30 days to kind of get something in your blood. And routines. If you're like, I'm not really a routine person, cool, let's go for it. If it scares you, awesome. 30 days should scare you. Like, damn, 30 days, right?
Yeah.
And do what you can do.
I love that. But how lightweight? Make your bed every day. That's a good one. Like there's good places to start. And that's what I always say when people are feeling stuck. It's like, what's one small thing that you can change today that's going to make you feel empowered, right? And just committing to something, especially on social media platform or just with a friend, like that's why getting into hiring a coach or a mentor, like put some skin in the game so that you do show up, and let's touch on that for 1 second before we go, because I got a mom life. I got to get my kid from school. But what was one of the defining reasons that made you decide to like hire a coach or invest in something that was going to help up level your business or life? When was it you were like, I'm ready to do that?
15 years ago, I knew that I hit a plateau. And this 15 years ago, coaches were not the way they are now. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they were not plentiful. And I got really curious. Again, I like to talk to God, universe, like, all right, what's next for me? And I went to this event and I met a coach, a business coach. And I just knew, and I'm like, I'm going to work with her. And from there, I knew that my business changed. She started helping me with planning. That's where I started my routines, was with her, Jessica. I never knew nobody ever taught me how to make plans, what a planner was, what this was. I had no idea. So I started working with her. Now, here's the cool thing. One coach will lead you to another, will lead you to that person, will lead you to this person. And I'm still with that coach to this day, but I've still had other coaches. And I also see it like this. Think about the basketball players, okay? May Kobe rest in peace. He had probably a massage therapist, that coach. He had an offensive coach. He had a defensive coach. They had the head coach. That's me. I have my mindset coach. I have a business coach. I have like a consciousness coach. I can tell you 5 people that I go to. Now, because it wasn't just one. One, again, Jessica, wasn't enough. And I'm like, okay, she's really good at this, but I also need somebody that's going to help me with money mindset. So then I hired this person. But I bring them all together and I take what works with me. Mm-hmm. And I see myself as an elite athlete that needs to get results, win that game. And I need offense, defense, all these different people to come together. And here's the other thing, Jessica. Last thing, I knew that I had to trust me, because the moment I gave them their money, I wanted them to save me. It's up to you now to save my business. And when I realized, I'm like, it's up to me. They're going to give me all the tools, but I got to be committed to me. And I wasn't committed to me. And until I changed, that's when my business started changing. Committed to me, and that coach is there to assist me, not to save me.
Not to play.
And I see a lot of people.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Not to play the game for you.
Oh my.
And as a coach, like you yes. are as good as your students, but your students have to be willing. And that's the part where, same thing in my breathwork training class, that's what they said. You are not there to breathe for them. You are there to guide them. You are their guide, not their guru, is what they like to say too. It's like, you can lead somebody to something, but you can't make them do it or change or be that. Right. And so, but when you have accountability, and more so than accountability, because accountability is also like someone holding your hand and doing it. It's
Yes.
support. It's structured support and guidance, and in a way that they understand. When they can hold space and they've been there and they know what you're going through, it's a fresh perspective. Like you were saying, how can I look at this in a way that's going to benefit me? How can I take what they're teaching me and apply it to what I've got going on? Right? Because if you don't take the knowledge and then apply it, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Yep. Right? You can read all the fucking books you want. You can say you're doing the work, but if you don't start actually doing it, you're going to get the same exact results. It is not anybody's coach's fault. So
yes. And then you hear, oh, that coach doesn't work. Really? Are you sure? Are you committed to you?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so where can people find you? Joanna Vargas Official, to join her next 30-day challenge. I'm telling you, just follow her anyways. Her energy is amazing. She's on there every morning giving you tons of hype, and bringing that energy even when it's tough, because you like to keep it real. I love that. I love you, sister. Thank you for this time. You're amazing.
Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Love you all. That was a lot of fun.
So much fun. And if you guys love this podcast, please leave us your comments, your thoughts, repost this, share this with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to my podcast, yes, please do that. And then follow Joanna over at the Get Up Girl podcast. And if you are a dancer or a creative, she also has a podcast called Dance Your Life. I'm sure there's some amazing stuff and guest interviews in there too. I've seen you've got some good people over there. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Bye.
Brains reaching lanes all of a sudden.